Hey everybody, it's Miss Wheelchair Virginia 2026 with the platform of sensitivity training for all who work in the public. And I would love to run through my sensitivity training that I do with people. So if you're interested in having me speak to your employers or anybody else, you can have an idea of what I do. So let's get started. I love to start off by saying the world is not really designed for people with disabilities. So the company that I'm working for is happy to be a part of the change in that and be a space for people with disabilities to come and feel included for a little while. I also thank everybody for allowing me to be there and for them to be open and honest about their questions, comments, and concerns and thoughts about the subject because we are in a safe place and being safe allows us to learn and grow and be better people for people with disabilities. I then tell them who I am. I am Miss Wheelchair Virginia 2026 with the platform of sensitivity training for all who work in the public. And when I come back from nationals in August, I will be the state coordinator for other women in wheelchairs who want to advocate for something that is very important to them. I go into talking about why sensitivity training is so important to me and why I chose it as a platform. And that answer is because I've faced so much discrimination in my life that I want to not have anybody else feel the way that I have because we all deserve to be in this world just as we are. Then we go into a show of hands slide, and I ask the question how many people know of Miss Wheelchair Virginia or Miss Wheelchair America? And usually the response is nobody, or I've heard it through you, which is me, Miss Wheelchair Virginia 2026. And I love that answer because it means that I am doing my job of making a difference, and it just gives me more empowerment to continue to do so. The next question is how many of you have ever wanted to help someone with a disability but you weren't sure about the right way to do so? And I love this question because it reminds me that I am there to support everyone involved in order to not be so afraid of interacting with people with disabilities. And the last question on this slide is what would you do if a conversation takes too long? And usually that means would you kneel, would you sit, or would you continue to stand? And that's when I go into my personal thoughts of I really don't like kneeling because it feels like the spotlight is all on me and they're doing that just for me because they would not be doing that with an able-bodied person. So I like to advocate for the fact that I love either them staying how they are standing or pulling up a seat next to me. This is again where I stress that it's important to ask and know that depending on the activity that you're doing, the consent may change. And then I go into the fact that my consent changes depending on how tired I am. So I may want you to push me, but it's all about asking me or me telling you because pushing me gives me no control, and that's already hard as someone who has to give up a majority of her control to be supported in society. Then I do two activities in action with the audience. I have one where the business owner is only communicating with the caregiver, and then I have another one where the business owner or someone else pushes a person in a wheelchair without their permission, and I ask the audience about how they think that made the person in the wheelchair feel. And then I go into talking about inclusion and about how it is not appropriate to assume I wouldn't have a disability if I didn't come in with a wheelchair because I talk so brightly, and I have to go into talking about how my assumption of a disability does not include my intelligence because I have a 4-year degree in communications, but even if I didn't, my value is no different. Then I go into talking about how some places like grass may not be accessible, but it's important to bring different items and activities to people or include them in them because we have the right to be there just as much as anyone else. Then I go into did you know questions, one of them being did you know that 1 out of every 4 families has someone with a disability in it? And the other one, in 2025, did you know that over 40% of people with disabilities were told to leave an establishment? And I go into the many different times I was told to leave an establishment and why and how that made me feel, and reiterate the fact that we need to treat people with disabilities the same way we want to be treated, because becoming disabled is the only minority we can be a part of at any time. And it's just genuine and nice to treat people how we want to be treated. Lastly, I go over the importance of inclusive language, that being people with disabilities or disabled people. Also, wheelchair user versus being confined to a wheelchair. We are not confined to a wheelchair. We are wheelchair users because it gives us the freedom to do things that we might not have been able to do if it was not for wheelchairs. So I hope this is really helpful, and I hope that it gives you the idea of wanting to have me speak, because I would absolutely love to do so. I hope to see you guys next time.